Hi, I'm Alan Douglas. Welcome to my studio. Today's painting is called the Fire-crested Mud-grubber. And what I thought I'd share in this video is some of my thoughts on creating an artist's signature in your painting. Let's get started. This is the Fire-crested Mud-grubber, and the painting is pretty much done. I may do a few tweaks to it, but at this point it's ready to be have the signature applied. Now, everyone will have their own personal thoughts on how they sign their work. I have my own ideas. So what I think of when I do my signature is I like to pull it up into the painting somewhere, but have it not be too obvious. And whether you're creating a fine art painting or you're working on an illustration for a commercial publishing client, generally you want to pull your signature up into the painting a little bit and not have it right along the edge, like down here or right along the edge, because what happens is the client will tend to crop the picture in and it'll be cut off. And same with a traditional painting. You don't want, generally when you frame it, it cuts in maybe even 1/4 inch on all sides, so you don't want the signature to be cropped off at all. And your signature will develop over time throughout your career, but I do think it is worth signing, especially if you start to develop a collector base for your pictures. It lends authenticity. It's kind of your stamp on the piece, so people know who did it. So that's my thoughts on that. Now the other question is where to sign it. I generally like to sign it in one of the quadrants, whether it's upper right, upper left, here or here. A lot of that depends on the picture itself. I'm going to stay away from the top quadrants just because of the repetitive vertical striping of these distant trees. I'm going to stay away from this quadrant just because of these little knobby roots that I put in the lower left-hand corner. So I'm going to sign it right in here. Now some artists develop a type of logo with their initials or something, so whatever you develop is up to you. I generally just write my first name. I write it pretty legibly. I mix up some paint that flows pretty well, so it's not going to be dry brushed on at all. So it's fairly liquidy. And the color I pick is generally consistent with the color scheme of the painting, but is a slightly different color than where I'm going to apply it. So here it's a dark brownish, bluish, greenish color. So I'm going to use a slightly lighter color to apply my signature, just so it's not very high contrast. The idea when you're signing your painting, at least in my view, is you want it to be legible and noticeable, but not eye-catching. You don't want your eye to go straight to it. Like for this particular painting, I wouldn't sign it in a bright red or something like that. I want it to be a little more subtle. So obviously when you go to apply the paint, you need a very fine-tipped brush, depending on your signature and the size of the painting, but a fine-tipped brush to get the detail you need. Sometimes you'll see me do a couple practice strokes above the letter. This is getting a little close to the edge, so I got to be careful when I frame it. Sometimes I'll go back over a letter if one letter looks noticeably darker than the rest of the letters, just to keep it consistent. So that's my thoughts on signatures. I'm noticing I'm getting there's a little hair stuck in here, so I'll probably remove that as I go along. any imperfections in the surface like that, I try to remove if I can. Sometimes it's tough. I just try to keep them out of very important parts of the painting. So there's no right, there's no wrong. This is just the way I do my signature. But hopefully it gives you a little bit of insight into how you might want to tackle yours. Thanks for watching.